Hey folks, after all that, oh look, tēnā koutou katoa. It's Carol Hayward coming to you from NZARH, and I am so pleased to have our guest along today. Our guest is Jacqui Broughton. Jacqui Broughton is a salon owner in Wanganui. Jacqui's salon is called Jack's Hair Studio. Jacqui is also an educator extraordinaire. So she's got a lot of stuff under her belt and obviously has been in this industry for some time. So she will share that with us. Jacqui is also a member of our Māori business network called Te Manu Atatu, and also the Wanganui Chamber of Commerce. So there's a hell of a lot of experience going on here. So it's really great that you could take the time, Jacqui, to spend having a chat with us and sharing some experiences. Just so that everybody has a really good idea of what the chat is about today, I thought I'd take a different sort of angle and talk about basically effects and how one has dealt with what we've had to deal with over the last few weeks. Obviously, Jacqui has, a number of areas in which she manages herself, and she has a team. She's an educator, so she has students. And so really it's all about what that navigation is and how she manages that. So also some real speak as well too, because obviously, it's all been said, we're all in this together. And so I thought, it'd be a great opportunity for us just to really hear, from, like a heartfelt experience of what has actually been going on, what life is like in our current situation, and also where we see it heading. So, Jacqui, I'd like to say thank you very much for joining us again. And if you'd like to just lead us in and give us a little bit of a brief, in particular with how long you have actually been in business yourself.
I've been a bit for this is really
yeah.
Can we fix that or not?
We certainly cool. We'll just go like that. Okay. Cool.
Okay. I've been in business for 28 years at my salon, Jack's Hair Studio. I've got 5 current staff, and 5 seniors. Well, just about one of my girls is about to sit her finals, and and I'm also an educator. I've been educating for over 30 years, teaching full-time students and apprentices around the region.
Yeah, and also being in it's a small region, really, but being in a region like ours, where there are probably a small number of employers who have really fed into our local industry by training. And I'm thinking back 30 years ago when when we were in the community college and how that was, and that was a lot of fun, and how things have progressed as well too. So with your training, especially with your staff, you've got a number of staff, and there's a range of experience, etc. And you've got one that's just about completing as well too. How are they managing, especially one that is your apprentice nearing her finals? So, this came at a time where she was ready to be assessed and ready to do her, in Salon, etc. So, how has she coped with that?
Really good. She was really well prepared, and the staff are really supportive of each other. So they've also been doing lots of online training and webinars, Zoom meetings with the reps. So their skills have been, on a daily basis, they're doing something. They share YouTube videos. They talk to each other a lot. We have 2 Zoom meetings a week, but we talk to each other on Messenger all the time just to see how everybody's going, and we like to see each other's faces, have a catch up to see what everyone's doing at home, how they're fitting in, what they're doing for work, keeping them engaged, keeping them motivated. They've really been awesome. Like I guess most other hairdressing teams around the country, hairdressers have a real knack of pulling together, a little bit of a sister brotherhood kind of relationship. They've been really supportive of me, and they've just come together and done what they had to do. So it's been awesome.
Yeah, and that just makes the whole experience a lot easier for you, because as employers and trainers, and of course you've got your educators hat as well, like having that support is absolutely paramount. And we'll talk a bit later about, what that has meant for you, more closer to home, etc. as well too. So as an educator, with your educator's hat on, how many students have you got currently? And I mean, how have they been managing? How have you been managing to, maintain that level of engagement with them that is necessary?
Well, we have there's different class numbers across our programs, but everyone's just been keeping engaged with their students. We have developed online programs so that they can keep engaged with their study. We have really tried to keep up with the communication. I think with staff and students, it's really important to keep that contact, keep managing each other's progress, motivation. Students still need encouragement just like staff, and they want to know that they're still going to get to the end of what they signed up for, just like staff.
Yeah.
So, everyone's doing the best they can to manage that process, and I think being interactive with each other and just making sure that you've got each other's back and being able to talk to somebody through this just to compare stuff. To be fair, there's been a lot of being at home has been a little bit of pretty good for some people. They've had time to chill out, get their jobs done, as well as doing a little bit of work as well. So, it's just about trying to manage that and fit it in so that it all fits, and you're getting the task done, because you still have to you still have to be engaged with work and study. It's just how it is.
Right.
It's not a holiday. We've still got to work towards getting to a lower level and getting back to normality, don't we?
That's right, and I think that's probably going to be obviously another challenge on its own as well too. Like we talk about, how it's the world has changed, and how our world's changed as well too in our industry, and how we're going to manage getting to that stage where we actually have to get back to work, and I mean, I don't know about you, but personally, I mean, I will find that challenging, because like you say, I mean, when you're used to actually, you're on the floor, you're managing a team, you're putting the work in, the hours in, you come home, you're exhausted. At the end of the week, you go, well, yep, cracked another week, and all that sort of stuff. It is going to be challenging, because we've had that time just to kick back, like you say, just take a little bit of the load off. It's still in your head, because you still got to carry on, but just getting yourself back into that mode. And I think especially for students as well too, because they've essentially bought a product, they've bought their program, and so they're aware of that as well too. It's like they have to keep that momentum going in order for them to achieve and be successful in what it is that they've actually invested in, And I know that, the team that you've got, the team of students that you have, I know they're pretty focused with that as well too, from my experience coming across them.
Yep, they're all pretty focused, and they do what they do. They do as much as they can do at home, and I think they signed up for this because they wanted to be hairdressers, so practicing a lot, getting the stuff done. They're all good.
Yeah, that's really good. That's really good to hear, actually, isn't it? Because, it is about the industry as a whole, and about taking care of each other, all taking care of each other in some way. So, back to your team. I know that you have a number of team members that have children, and of course they've had to manage that as well too. So how are they coping with that? They've got the kids at home, they've got responsibilities as far as like their education, having to deliver their education to them, etc., etc. And of course, they've still had to be engaged, and they've still had to continue with tasks, etc., that you've set for them. So how are they coping with all of that? It's a real juggling act.
Yeah, no, they're great. They're great mums. Got a couple of mums, and they're really awesome. They've been homeschooling, and I'm sure it comes with their challenges, but they don't complain. They just, there's nothing else to do, except your work, your children, and living in your bubble. So one thing I suppose has been good is that there hasn't been a lot of outside influences. You've got nowhere to go, you've got no one coming to interrupt you. So I think they've been pretty organised. One of them's got a couple of small young ones, and they've been doing lots of projects and seem to be liking mum as a teacher, I think.
Yeah. It just takes mum becomes something completely different, really, doesn't she?
Yeah.
She is a superwoman. So that's really good. That's really cool as well too, because again, as employers, and we're thinking about our teams, and we're thinking about how they're managing. And having the kids at home, it's a reality, and they're there 24/7. They're not going to childcare, and again, their education is being delivered by mum or dad, So we do have to bear that in mind, and also getting them back into the workplace. So it's really great, because I know that you have actually sourced a number of resources, and so that's really cool. I know we talked about resources that NZARH have on offer. For example, your contact tracing form, etc. The template that we have available for that. There's stuff there for non-members and members. So have you found that helpful as well too? Because I know that you're right into research and resourcing. So how have you found that?
I think it's really, really important that people go to the right places. Obviously, go to the Covid-19 website just to get the government guidelines around everything. But for hairdressers, NZARH is specifically for us. So we're very lucky that we have that go-to, and everyone's approachable. You can email Nick, email you, Pip, anybody, just to get information, and it's there. And what's really good is that you've offered a 3-month free membership, so that's a great opportunity for people to get on board just to get the benefits. This is a perfect opportunity to see what NZARH is all about. It's not just about being able to enter a competition. It's not about that. So you guys are doing a great job in sourcing all the information that's relevant to us, because sometimes it's a lot of wading through some of that information that we're getting, so you get a little bit disoriented sometimes. So if we go to you, then we know what the right stuff is, and download all those forms. Very helpful.
I think so too, and apart from being part of the NZARH board, but as a member, as a consumer, I mentioned the other day, I said, look, I would be going and sourcing everything that I need, because I know that it's the right information and it makes me feel very safe and secure. So I know that when I have to go back into my workplace, that I'm totally ready and I have everything that I need, to be ready as well too. And so that's a really comforting feeling. It's about security, I think.
Yeah, and everyone's asking questions. If you go onto the Facebook and the other Facebook places that you belong to do with hairdressing. There's a lot of information sharing and questions, and we all need to go back to the right places to get the right answers. But it's really good to share with each other across those sources of social media, because sometimes you want to ask the question first amongst your family of hairdressers to make sure it's not a silly question, and you find that a lot of people are thinking exactly what you're thinking, or wondering what should be happening.
Yeah, absolutely.
So they kind of bash it out before they go, and then and Nick will jump in, or someone else will jump in and say, like, this is how it is, so you can take it from there.
Yeah, and I think that's a really good point. In our own area, in our own region, we have a very close knit group of hairdressers, salon owners, employers, etc. And it's always been that way in our region, and it's great because, like you say, the communication is essential. And I think just to take them a moment just to make sure, just check in on your people, make sure that they're okay. And like you say, I mean, I'm a big one for, I don't mind asking a silly question, or what might be considered a silly question. I'll just put it out there because I have no shame anyway, so it doesn't bother me. I'd rather ask and then I know. And so, I think that is really important. It's about the communication. It's about being able to ask and verbalise, and feeling safe that, you've got people that you can do that with, definitely. So, now that we're kind of, we're heading towards our review, and I need to emphasise that because, a lot of people, we have a lot of people that, are sure that yes, we'll go to level 2 in another just over a week's time, but in actual fact it's a review of the current situation, and so we must remember that. But in saying that, how are you prepping, your team? How are you prepping, managing, your salon workflow, all that sort of stuff, considering that we've got next week, and there's a lot of talk about people going into their salons to maybe clean or, get themselves organised. So how are you doing that?
Well, we've been keeping in contact with our clients as much as we can over this period. Sending them personal texts just so that they know, especially for the clients that, need a little bit of communication with you. We've sort of kept in touch with them as much as we can. And with the Katoomba free texting in April, we took advantage of that. We can also book clients from home. That's on that online booking system is free at the moment.
Amazing. Yeah.
So we've just kept in touch with the clients. We have already booked from the 12th. I think that's when we go into level 2 in anticipation. So all the clients are booked in, and we've just said to them, if anything happens and it gets transferred, or it's going to take longer, we just pick the blocks up and we'll move them to the following week or 2 weeks later. So at least they're all booked in. We have done a roster so that there's only 3 people in the salon at a time, and only 2 of them will be working on clients. One of them will just be doing the sanitation, the greeting, the seeing the client out and doing all those sorts of things, because they'll need that support. So clients need to feel safe, and so do the staff. And they have been awesome at managing that. So and we're doing different hours, obviously, to fit everybody in. So the staff have to do, me, I'm one of them, have to do 4 nights and
Get back in there. Get back in there, girl.
So
well, that's right.
A little bit harder for the others to fit all their clients in, obviously, because they're all full-time, but they'll do it. And clients have been, they just want to get back in there. They just want to have a haircut or have a colour or catch up with us.
They certainly do, and it's you. I mean, thank goodness we're wearing masks and gloves and things. Not so glamorous, but you can travel around the place a little bit incognito because if you do happen to spot someone at the supermarket, albeit very awkward, but at the same time, it's always the first thing that they say is like, oh my God, I just can't hardly wait to get back to see you, and that's really nice to hear. And like you say, it's great, but we need to make sure that we've got everything right when we go back, because what we don't want to be doing is going, from, the getting towards the light at the end of the tunnel, and then we get pulled back because somebody does something really silly, and doesn't follow the rules. So everything that you're doing, you just have to trust that everybody else is doing the same job as well too. And like you say, it's all about communication, eh?
Yep, and the staff have been updating policies and procedures of, exactly what happens step by step for a client, for a staff member, everything, sanitation procedures, there's, what they're going to have on each station, how they're going to sanitise everything. And I saw a post on New Zealand Hairdressing the other day, people saying, oh my gosh, how am I going to do this and do that? And everyone shared ideas, so that was good as well. So yeah, I think
absolutely,
we're pretty adaptable hairdressers. We'll just get in there and do the stuff. And, to be fair, we're really lucky because we can just go in with nothing except our scissors and our comb and start up business again. We're luckier than some people who have got nothing to go back to. They had stock that they had to get rid of and, they can't operate. So it's been really devastating. So, I think that we should be grateful that we can, just get back in there and do what we do.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely, and that is a big deal, and that is a reality. There will be some. When you're in a small region, there will be some that won't come out of this. So how do we engage with those people? It's okay for you and I because we are in a small community and we talk a lot amongst each other. We really like each other, so that's actually quite a bonus as well too, that we all get on. But at the same time, there are others that are kind of on the fringes where, as I said to you earlier, there's ones that had just opened a business and it's been their lifelong dream, and then next minute it's shut down. And so, again, it's about communication and talking with those people and getting them engaged as well too, with everything, and being part of our community, part of our whānau community,
Yeah, and heaps of people have been sharing ideas on Facebook about, they've talked to their landlords and got a little bit of reprieve, because obviously if you can't trade, they're going to be looking for new tenants, and who are they going to get? So it's going to be hard for them. It is hard for them, but if they can help you out so that you can stay there long term, I know that there was people that shared ideas about signing their lease for an extra term, just to make up for the fact that they're not paying rent for a little bit longer. So there's lots of ideas. So it's really important to engage with each other and communicate, because you do get lots of ideas.
Yeah, you certainly do. And also, like we've just had the announcement from the government about the additional support that they are offering small business, which, I don't know about you or about any of the rest of you that are listening in, but man, I did the massive air punch, I didn't jump because I can't jump, but I did a massive ear punch, and I thought, well, that is just fantastic. We've been waiting for it, and what a relief. I think, like you said earlier about the wage subsidy, that has been fantastic, and now they've stepped up again for additional support. So, and that's the thing, in our not just our industry, but cash flow has been a big deal, hasn't it, or lack of. So, from a real space, does it keep you up at night? Have you thought, have you considered that right from the start? All that sort of stuff, oh my God, what the hell am I going to do? I mean, because there are people out there that didn't have the ability to source cash flow from elsewhere, you know.
Yeah, I think it's really good. I mean, the wage subsidy has saved, I would say, all of us that are still going to be able to trade after this. The other biggest expense that people are probably finding unavoidable is rent. So, if landlords have been good, that's good. But this business loan that is available to people will be really beneficial, and it's good to know that people need to know what they can access. So there's that government money for $10,000 plus $1,800 per staff member for under 50 staff, and you can also go into there's other places like MSD they've got on offer flexi wage. They've had that all along for a number of years. They have it on
number of years.
Yeah, so that's available, and there's also mana and mahi for people that want to tap into that. So if you contact MSD, I know that they have through our Te Manawatatu contacts, we've got somebody that looks after us, a direct person, and she said some of the challenges around applying for these things they understand that it's a trying time and that they're going to be a little bit easier. It's going to be an easier process. So please, for anyone listening, if you need to go and access that, go to WINS. And also TPK offer a cadetship, which is $10,000 if you want to have a look at that for anyone that you want to qualify in your business. So there are things there. So just share that information with people that may need it. It might be really important for them.
Yeah, that's cool. And so that's MSD, so Ministry of Social Development, and TPK being Te Pūhini Kōkiri. So some fantastic organisations, like you say, that are there to help. And now we've got the government, additional government support. So, there's some light at the end of the tunnel, definitely. And it's great to know that there are those organisations that are, 100% behind you. I was talking with Lou Scanlon from MSD here locally, and asked the question, if the unfortunate circumstance arose where, somebody had to be made redundant, and then they have to apply for a benefit, what's the wait time? Because, usually they have a stand down period. And she said, no wait time. They just get straight, the process is straight through. And so I thought, well, that's great, because as much as we don't want to think about that sort of stuff, you kind of do. And so, I was really, it was great to hear that from her. And, I think it's all those sorts of things that people need to know that they need to be reassured with. So that's, that's really, really cool. So just heading back to regions, and especially small salons, what advice would you give small salons, heading back into this? So we've already talked about like taking advantage of additional support from government, etc. What other things would you advise small salon owners to do?
Just buddy up with somebody, you've got friends in your hairdresser ideas, get on those, social media, Facebook pages, and just interact with people. I've got a few groups, when you go along to hairdressing educational things, I've got one where, I joined with 3 other people. So there's only 4 of us in it, but, it's just a very intimate, conversation about, you feel safe in asking. So, just talk to other people. That is the best thing to do. And I talk to my staff, and they are, they're my best support people. How do I know what to do? I just ask them. They're going to tell me what they want, what they need, and we try and work together to make it happen.
That's right. Yeah. Yep, so absolutely. As much as
or no staff.
It's all relevant. It's all relevant, isn't it? And so what about what about your suppliers? And I don't just mean like like your product supply company, but your suppliers, like for example, like you talked about Katoomba, or you talked about we've talked about IFPOS as well too, briefly previously. So what other support, or what process did you go through to gain support?
Yeah.
Can't hear you, Jax.
Yeah. Well, everyone's out there.
Oh, there you are.
I don't know if you'd call it support. I mean, I contacted everybody that supplies my business, and
All right. You must just be like glitching a little bit, Jacqui. So there's the support, and I mean I'll just share with you from my experience. It was great because I just emailed suppliers. So I emailed my power supplier, I emailed IFPOS, emailed
hear me now?
various other suppliers. Yep, can hear you now. So that was really great because they were supportive and more than happy to help out, which was really good. So it was a big help. Oh, so our sound's going in and out. So I'm kind of thinking at this stage, because we don't want to sort of sit here in silence or anything like that. Are you there? Are you back on? Oh, well, obviously, the internet can't handle us. So, so anyway, I think, we've definitely have had a fantastic conversation with you. And so, again, we really appreciate you coming on board. It's been really great to chat with you. And so do you have a departing note? Is there anything that you'd like to say upon departure? Any further words of advice or wisdom?
Yeah,
No?
I am here.
Yeah.
Am I?
Yeah, just a bit glitchy. No. Yeah, it's just going in and out. So I think what we'll do is we'll probably sign off. Yeah, that's okay. We'll sign off, and
yeah.
Okay. All right. So anyway, thank you all for joining us. We're going to sign off because we're having some technical issues. If there are any questions, just, call NZARH. Beverly would love to hear from you, and or check out our page, check out our website, etc. And yeah, just keep tuned, and we look forward to spending some more time with you via our social media, etc. And if there's anything else, any suggestions that anyone has, then please feel free to put those forward to NZARH. So thanks, Jacqui. Thanks for having us, and we'll speak soon. Okay. My little hand signals, I love it. Anyway, excellent. We'll see you soon.